Hello, this is DrSayus, and today I am reviewing Dragon Ball Xenoverse Fan Service the game. When you start the game, you create your own original character. You can choose from 5 classes, so you have the boring old humans, you can be a Majin, you can be a Saiyan, you can be an Namekian or Frieza's race. I got this game shortly after its release and it came bundled with the DLC. I started off with the female Majin because I wanted to create demonic Sakura. In Naruto, the character Sakura, when she gets really angry in the original, it showed like this sort of inner demon that was kind of like the angry voice in her head. So that's who I based the character of, and it actually does look a lot like her. Unfortunately, when I played the game, I made the mistake of trying to make all the stats even. I knew competitively this wasn't the best option, but I was just trying to play the game fairly. Unfortunately, that means you have to do an obsessive amount of grinding. Even if you just max out the attack stat and nothing else, you're still gonna be doing loads and loads of grinding. That's exactly what I had to do with my next character, just because I got up to a point where it would take far too much time to level up demonic Sakura, so I had to start the game from scratch and make a new character. So I decided to make Ghost Yamcha, who is a Saiyan. You can level up 6 stats: your health, ki, stamina, attacks, striking specials, and blast specials. Once you create the character, you can choose whether they are good at blast specials or good at striking specials, or an all-rounder. Don't pick the all-rounder one because that's just going to give you more grinding to do. Pick a specialty, because even if you do that, you're still going to be grinding for a long period of time. The DLC I got offered you a costume which boosted your striking specials, so that's what I picked for Ghost Yamcha. The attack stat is the most important. You could just boost that up and nothing else, but I also wanted to use the striking specials, so I boosted that up too. And also I found you had to boost up your health, because it's okay if you're fighting one-on-one when you boost up the attack, but see if there's more than one person, even if you outnumber the opponent, say 3-2, you'd think the computer would be able to hold off the other competitor, but they just fly towards you and attack you at the same time, and because you haven't leveled up your health, you just die quickly. So health is a very important one. Ki, stamina aren't important at all. Ki offers you more energy to do like special attacks. Stamina helps you teleport, but they're not very important. You can get away with not upgrading either of these. What made this one different from the other games was most of the Dragon Ball games before this one, there was a button to charge up your ki. Now you can unlock that as a skill, but the way you charge up your ki is engaging in combat. I find when you take damage, your ki goes up quite fast too. The reason I picked a Saiyan for my second playthrough is because Saiyan males have the best attack stat out of all the characters, so I wanted to get through the game as quickly as possible. The game starts, you spawn into Toki Toki City, and all of a sudden you're attacked by Trunks, and then you are thrown into a text tutorial. It's not bad, it tells you the basics of how to play the game. Unfortunately, you can't go back to it. Say if you miss like how to throw an opponent, I couldn't find how to look at the controls again. I think that was pretty much, you had to memorize it there, but luckily it wasn't too complicated. The game's very cutscene heavy. Some of it's interesting, a lot of it's cringy stuff you already know if you've watched this show. Trunks' first order of business after you finish his training is you have to talk to every NPC in the hub world of Toki Toki City, and this will take you about 10-15 minutes to find them all, because 1 or 2 of them are well hidden. Some of them are boring, but some of them are quite funny too. No, you're just racist. Looks like Trunks has a secret admirer. Finally, I found the video game avatar of myself. Sure. This game advertised itself as an MMO where you could go online and you can join different players on the quests, because there is like online quests as well as offline quests. But unfortunately, I played this game and it was a year after release, and the online was very, very bad. me and a friend. It took us literally an hour just to get into one match, and afterwards we all kicked off when we couldn't play anymore. And we were playing on Xbox Live. The online isn't relevant in this game as far as I'm concerned. It's more the offline. It's an offline game. This isn't the first time. I remember Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 3. They put very little effort into the online as well. I played it on the Wii. It was literally frame by frame. The character would go like this. And that was if you were lucky. That was if you got a good connection. So I don't know why they bothered. Probably just to boast that they have it, because they're a modern game. They're expected to have it. When you're talking to the NPCs, the shops all welcome you, but you can't. They won't sell you anything.
We have nice new items in stock.
Whenever you talk to Trunks, he sounds very aggressive. You know, calm down, buddy. There's two things wrong with this picture.
Amazing. He actually pulled it off. He won.
If you want to play the main story of the game, it takes place in the Time Nest. And this covers the main events from Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT, and Dragon Ball Super. I'm not sure GT and Super if that was just the DLC I got. The story doesn't really last too long, even with the DLC. Pretty much what's happening is a dark force is changing what normally happened in the anime. It's changing the history to make the bad guys win, which the Supreme Kai of Time calls the Crack of Time, which sounds very inappropriate if you ask me. I think a better name would have been suitable rather than something that sounds a bit of a sexual innuendo. The story itself does have some interesting scenarios. I like the fact whenever Ginyu tries to take over Goku's body and he ends up taking over your body instead. Depending on what race your character is, you'll have different dialogue. That's what I really like about this game. They put so much effort in little things like how unique the dialogue is. Nearly every character has a different interaction with another character. When you get to the Time Nest, Trunks introduces you to the Supreme Kai of Time. It's a bit odd in some places. Most of the game's CGI cutscenes, it'll occasionally change to an anime sequence, which is a bit weird. The Supreme Kai of Time is introduced through anime, and it looks pretty good. It looks just like how Dragon Ball Z would look, but then it cuts back to the in-game models, and it looks a bit jarring because the in-game models are a bit rubbery and the mouths don't move sometimes. It's a bit jarring. It would have been nice to see all the cutscenes in animated form, but maybe that was too expensive. I don't know. I thought Trunks was a bit of a cheeky shite towards her. Like, she's supposed to be the Supreme Kais among all the Supreme Kais, so I don't actually know how high in the pecking order she would be. I would probably say she'd be above Elder Kai and Supreme Kai, but she would be below Beerus. But she's still pretty high up, and Trunks is like, she may not look it, but she's the Supreme Kai of Time. It's like she's standing right beside him, but she politely just ignores him. For some reason, the actress sounds like she's using a lower quality microphone.
Villains exist in every era, I'm afraid.
I couldn't hear it when I was editing the recording, but I could hear it when I was playing it on the TV. All the other characters sounded fine. It just seemed her in particular. I don't know why. Maybe it's just her voice. One thing that did stick out to me was how odd Whis and Beerus look. Now, I know the in-game models, it's not going to be perfect, but the rest of the characters look passable, are good. But Whis and Beerus in particular do not. Whis, maybe it's because he's so tall that it makes his in-game models stand out more. Like, he just looks like a giant doll. And Beerus just looks gross. He just doesn't look good at all. But I suppose if the art style, I'm not sure how they could have fixed him really. He probably just has an awkward character design. The game's all about leveling up and improving on your stats, and you can level up through missions, fighting with different masters like Pan or Vegeta, or my personal favorite, Captain Ginyu. It's very easy to level up because they're easy to take down and it doesn't take very long, and you can also learn new techniques through talking to each master. Another bizarre scene, there's a scene whenever Toa looks so smug and she's talking, and before she finishes her sentence, she talks over herself.
Indeed. They both have high power levels. If we steal his energy...
Probably just a fault of the editing. In a AAA game, I don't expect that kind of mistake, but it's not a deal breaker. The combat's very easy to learn. You press pause and you look at the combos and you realize you're just pressing 2 buttons. On the Xbox One controller, it's X and Y. So you just switch between the 2 buttons. A child could do it. It's not very difficult. There's really only 4 combos you use, so it's very shallow. You change between light and heavy attacks. It was very tedious for me to play this, even if my attack stat leveled up so high. I can only imagine how annoying it must be if you didn't really level up your attack stat. I think they could have shortened the battles. They could have made them a bit quicker, snappier. Another odd glitch I discovered in Dragon Ball Xenoverse was the original character Demonic Sakura. I give her gold looking clothing, which you can see in the footage. One day I turned on the game and her clothes were suddenly all black. I'm not sure why they did this. I mean, she does look good in the black. She still looks pretty sexy, like, I have to say, but I don't know why it did that. There's no way to change it back, so probably just a glitch. It's very rare in the game, but there's an occasional moment where the volume just lowers quite a bit and the game music is still high but the voices are low, so you can't really hear what they're saying. It doesn't happen very often. It happens whenever Goku fights Captain Ginyu, because I played the scene multiple times and the same thing happened each time. That's another problem with the game, because you're going through the story and you haven't leveled up enough. If you die and then you have to repeat it all again, some instances the missions don't last very long, but then there's most instances in the story where there's a cutscene, then you do this big drawn out battle, then there's another cutscene, then you do this other big drawn out battle, then there's another cutscene, and then there's another big drawn out battle, and then if you lose that battle, you have to do them all over again. It's a chore to sit through. I think there should have been more checkpoints in there instead of just artificially lengthening the game like that and like forcing the player to go back and grind over and over again. Like, if you're gonna make them grind, like, you need to make the combat good, not a chore to sit through. One bizarre thing I noticed in the game was in the English dub, they assume that you're male for some reason, because when I played through the game as a female Majin, they always go, "He'll be okay," even though in the subtitle it'll refer to them as they, so I don't know why they didn't just read off the subtitles. I could probably imagine if you're a woman playing the game, it'd probably be a bit annoying. This is also the only game I've played where Hercule has one badass moment. He wants to destroy you and Goku just doesn't give a shit. He just wants to fight Cell, which does sound a lot like Goku, to be honest. There is some inconsistencies if you watch the anime and you play this game with the story, because they've brought Majins into the lore in Xenoverse. Vegeta goes, "Majins, we Saiyans are stronger than you," and like he knows who the Majins are. I found it funny, like, weaker characters are often underestimated, like characters like Hercule and the Frieza soldiers. Even people like Krillin underestimate them. The story showed a lot of potential. There is moments I like. I like the Ginyu Force arc. I like the one in the Cell games as well, but then there's others where it just kind of falls flat, like when they use it on Majin Buu, he just splits into multiple copies of himself. I mean, that's not interesting. The worst moment in this game for me was in the main story. It's not even like a main story mission. Whenever Goku sends Yost to get the Dragon Balls in Frieza's ship, and you have to fight 20 Frieza soldiers, and I believe this is one of these missions where if you fail, you have to go all the way at the start and you have to fight Ginyu and his men again, and then if you get past all that, then you can go fight Frieza soldiers. So there's a big jump back in progress if you fail that mission. The problem is, even if you survive the onslaught of the Frieza soldiers, if Gohan or Krillin die, you lose and you have to do it all over again. So even though I had leveled up my attack pretty high, Krillin and Gohan were still dying. So it took me quite a few times just to get past that part of the game, and it's so tedious as well because they're just the same soldiers and the combat's so limited. X, Y, X, Y, X, Y over and over again. It's just moments like that which just bring the game down. and it's a real shame. One thing that seemed a bit rushed to me was the main villains that are introduced in the story get replaced about halfway in. Some other random guy who has no backstory. Oh, he was locked in the crack of time and now he's gonna escape. He doesn't seem to have any relation to the villains that were introduced to us at the start, but he has the same power to alter the crack of time, make people evil, and try and make the bad guys win, but they don't seem to be related in any way. It just seems a bit bizarre to me. He provides a decent boss fight at the end, but it just seems a bit out of place. Why wasn't he the main villain throughout the story? Why didn't he have any interaction with the other main villains who have the same powers? There's a scene in the story where Trunks is like, oh, we need to make sure Toa doesn't kill Boo because Dabura is Toa's brother. Spoiler alert. But she never mentions this. She's staring at Goku and Boo fighting, and she has a big smug look on her face, and then she doesn't look torn up about it at all, and she actually helps Boo. I thought, oh, this is going to be interesting. Is she going to make Goku evil and then he'll destroy Boo? But no, she makes Boo evil, more evil. What's the point in her being Dabura's sister, you know? Even though they look nothing alike, by the way. They have different coloured skin, for one thing. To level up, you do the offline parallel quests, what they're called, and they go through scenarios, pretty much what you've played in the main story. That makes it even more tedious. If the combat had been good, sure, it would have been a lot more tolerable. When you do these quests, a lot of the environments are destructible, so then you can go and pick up items that are hidden in those environments. You only get these if you win, by the way, so if you spent ages picking up items and then you get near the end and then you lose, you have to do it all over again. You have to pick up all the items over again. That's a bit demotivating. I think what should have happened is the items should have been one pickup only, so once you pick them up, you get them, but they don't show up there anymore. But it doesn't really work that way. And then once you finish everything in one area, you fly through a portal to another stage, which is alright. I believe to get the most out of this game, you do have to enjoy a bit of grinding. You have to be invested into the Dragon Ball lore. The game's about going through the parallel quests, earning experience from that, level up your character. Also the money you earn from the quests, spend them on special moves in the shops, try out loads of different special moves. In the show, Captain Ginyu's Milky Way Cannon, or whatever you call it, Vegeta's Gallic Gun, Goku's Dragon Fist. It has loads of fanfare from Dragon Ball Z all the way up to Dragon Ball GT and Super. I don't know why Dragon Ball was left out. Some people argue Dragon Ball is the best out of all of them. Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z I would hold up in a very high regard. GT and Super, not so much. I still like them, but they're just not as good. I know why they didn't do it, because Dragon Ball's not as popular. It just seems a bit like a missed opportunity, but there is loads to do here. The combat is clunky. Aside from the combos, both opponents could be trying to punch each other and they end up missing and just like punching a combo into the abyss. Special move animations cancel out combats. Say if someone does a Kamehameha on you and then you activate your ultimate move, Birder's Blue Hurricane, you don't take any damage even though it's hitting you directly because you're doing the animation. That particular type of special move where you're spinning in place, if you're hitting someone, there's just massive slowdown that occurs. It's the only part of the game where I've seen slowdown occur. It doesn't game break the game. In fact, it makes it easier to hit people. What would my final verdict be for this game? I believe this game deserves a solid B. It emphasizes style over substance. In terms of style, it gets top marks. In terms of substance, it's a bit substandard. There's better modern Dragon Ball games that have been released. If you want to be invested into the lore of Dragon Ball, if you enjoy grinding, leveling up your character, give it a try. I haven't played the second one, but Xenoverse 2 is a continuation from Xenoverse's 1 story. So I don't know, maybe you want to play the first game just to be up to date with the story. If you're looking for a game that has good combat, a good solid fighting game which has loads of combos, involves skill, I would avoid this one. If you're looking for something that looks quite stylish, the animations are quite good, it's very detailed, cartoony graphics. If you're a fan of the show, give it a try, there's no harm in doing that. In terms of Dragon Ball games, it's middle of the road for me. It had so much potential to be an amazing game if they had only spent more time on the actual combat rather than making it into like an MMO style RPG sort of thing. But for what it is, it's a decent game. Hello guys, hope you're having a fantastic day. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and to subscribe for more videos. Bye!